Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic episode of The Left Wing. I am TJ Whitehead, powers taken not given, joined as always by the man who is the true reason for the season, John Cooper Paz of Counterpoint Politics. How are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing good, TJ. I know we had a very depressing show on Tuesday, but I feel like I got it out of my system. I was kind of looking forward to this show today for a couple of reasons. I kind of like a lot of the topics we're talking about, but also a really wonderful new guest. We haven't had a new guest for a while, but we have Steve coming on from Facts Still Matter. Steve, how are we doing today?
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. Doing great. It's an honor to be here. John, you and I have met. TJ, it's a pleasure to meet you for the first time. I've seen your stuff. I appreciate your content.
Oh, fantastic, Steve. I saw your handle there, Facts Still Matter. Are we sure about that, Steve? I am not convinced. I appreciate it, but I think you got your work cut out for you to convince me that facts actually do matter, because from what I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like that's the case in the world today, or at least in the United States.
Well, I'm a glass half full kind of guy, so I will stick to that.
How did you come about with these fascinate me, how people come to their usernames? Like, how did you end up picking that one? Like, what was the event that triggered that?
Well, funny story. So I started on TikTok, I think 4 years ago. I do stand-up comedy as a hobby, and I thought this might be a great spot to kind of test drive it. And I worked in media for many, many years. I served in my state government a long time ago. And I was watching some TikTok live streams, and like, man, there is a lot of misinformation out there. Don't facts still matter anymore? I'm like, oh, that might be something. So there you go. That's the birth of Facts Still Matter, as they say.
I do like that kind of stuff. By the way, I gotta say one more thing. Am I the only person on TikTok who does not do stand-up comedy? Is it just me? Every time I talk to someone who does this, every time we have a guest, it's like every other guest says, oh yeah, I'm a stand-up comic. I do this from time to time. I was like, really? I've never done it once. John, you've done it, right?
Yeah, I've done it. I've never like done it on any sort of professional or consistent level, but I have done it quite a few times just to try it out for myself. And I will tell you, it is not easy. It is one of the most difficult things I've ever done.
You just may not be a glutton for punishment, TJ. So John would agree.
Yes, that's actually because, I mean, it's not because I'm not funny. I'm funny as fuck. I mean, I am fucking hilarious. And I know this. However, as you guys know, there is a distinct difference between making people laugh incidentally or conversationally and standing up on a stage in front of a bunch of people who are saying, all right, buddy, make me laugh. I was like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. I don't know. And also, it's just like, this is going to be talking about stand-up comedy the entire show. Also, how do you guys get around? I think my biggest hurdle to this would be memorizing the jokes, because if I tell a joke more than a couple times, it's not funny to me. And if it's not funny to me, it's hard to make the delivery. Do you run across that?
I mean, I never had a problem with memorizing. I did a lot of acting as a kid, so that just became part of the process. For me, I write professionally when I'm not doing the Facts Still Matter stuff. So for me, it's always about consolidating 45 minutes of comedy down to a tight 10 minutes. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part for me, personally.
Well, Steve, that's why we have this podcast that runs for 2 hours, so we don't have to edit our stuff at all. I can't tell you how freeing it is. Like going from like a minute and a half TikTok to, I can just say whatever I want. It's absolutely wonderful.
Agreed. The beauty of a 4-hour live stream, Monday through Friday. That's exactly right.
I love that. Also, ironically, John, you were mentioning a 2-minute TikTok or something like that. That also takes 35 minutes to make or 45 minutes to make, which you wouldn't know if you don't do this, but the sausage getting made takes way longer than you'd think. So yeah,
and that's with a lot of practice making them and just kind of gliding through it. You know, it can take a while. But anyway, people don't want to hear us talk about our woes as creative. But we got a lot of good topics today. We have a civil war brewing in MAGA on multiple fronts. Like, this is a world war MAGA going on right now. We haven't really seen too much bloodshed, but there might be more soon to come. We have an actual potential war brewing in Venezuela. Nice. One might argue one that has already happened, and we have already started. Definitely want to get into that today. Also want to take a look at Kristi Noem in particular, but all of the cabinet members, because one of them's got to get fired, right? One of them's got to get fired. Who's going to be the first one? I want to talk about it. And if we have time, I want to get into a report that the labor shortage we have in this country, particularly around STEM and tech fields, is being deemed a national security threat. So those are the topics I want to talk about today. TJ, anyone you want to jump into first?
Let's see. I don't know, but how about we'll leave it to Steve. Steve, which one jumped out to you the most?
Well, it's interesting because I saw your list, and thanks for sending it, John. I was thinking every single day, I'm like, who is going to be in the crosshairs of termination from the cabinet and or from the administration first? And it's almost like, it's roll the dice. One day it's going to be Pete Hegseth. His name shows up a lot. Then it's going to be Pam Bondi. I really think after today's performance on Capitol Hill, it's got to be Kristi Noem, because I think one of the things that Donald Trump, I'm sure you guys would agree, he does not like anybody that makes him look bad. Anything he can do to deflect away from that. I go back to the original Signal Gate when we first heard about it. It was sort of confined to the national security apparatus and the DOD, and then Mike Walls became the sacrificial lamb. They could just move him sort of just out of the way casually. We'll give you a different position in the administration. But Kristi Noem flat out lying today in that testimony, I think she's going to be the first to go.
So first of all, I am curious to see if anyone ever goes. Like, I feel like we've passed the point with several of these guys that, clearly they're going to get fired, and no one has, like you mentioned Mike Walls, like, sure, like there's some buffer in there of people who can take the axe and be a scapegoat. But of the main cabinet members that we're seeing put on television every single day, like their job is to be TV personalities more than it is to be actual cabinet members. As long as they're doing that job, I think they're going to be safe. As long as they suck Trump's dick, do whatever he says, and appear well on national television. I will agree that Kristi Noem is near the top, and I do want to get into a lot of what she has today, but she is not my top choice for the first one to go. TJ, what do you think?
Oh, I like how John teased his top choice.
Oh, by the way, I have a tier list here, TJ.
Okay.
So,
great.
So once we finish this, we'll jump into the tier list.
Okay. All right. So, though this isn't necessarily what this topic is, but it does run adjacent to my most hated type of news, which is the what if news. And I bring this up on the show all the time that you always hear, it's like we've heard it so much in the Trump administration, Elon Musk might do a video tour of the gold at Fort Knox. Dan Bongino is considering leaving his job at the FBI, and like Trump is considering a replacement for Kristi Noem. I don't know, who knows, or anything like that. But I don't have Noem on top of my list either. Mine is still Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi is still on the top of my list simply because not only is she the only person in the Trump administration to rival him in the crimes per day category. She's the only one that comes close. And it's also because the Epstein stuff that Trump, I think, is going to be untouchable on that. The base is never going to turn on him, but they already don't like her. And I think that combined with the fact that she's already like breaking actual laws and that she's unpopular, if Trump actually stepped on a rake hard enough to actually cause some real damage, he'd cut her loose in a second. Pete Hegseth, like you guys mentioned, Pete Hegseth with the Signal Gate thing, they found someone else to let go. The Venezuela stuff and the war crime stuff, that's more of a comeback to haunt him maybe 10 years from now. I don't think it's going to really affect him too much while Trump is still in office and while he still is breathing oxygen. But yeah, and with incompetence, I don't think it's going to get them fired, because if it would, Sean Duffy would be gone with planes falling out of the sky. And his answer is, how about we do some pull-ups at the airport? Maybe that'll solve the problem, folks. You missed your flight. Things are going wrong all over the place. How about you just get all sweaty and dress well before, wear a tuxedo before you do the pull-ups at the airport too. At RFK, today there's a brand new measles outbreak I read about in South Carolina. There are hundreds of cases of measles. RFK still got his job. So I think they can fail over and over again. It's just to the point where something goes so catastrophically wrong that Trump needs to sacrifice somebody like he did with Signal Gate. And it could even be an underling there. John might be right. No one might go after all.
So go ahead, Steve.
I just going to say the Bondi thing, that it's neck and neck between those two. I just think Pam Bondi is so loyal And because of all the turmoil and because of the Epstein files and because of everything else connected to all these investigations, I feel like they better have somebody that can be just as loyal if they're going to let her go. Like, I feel like they can slide Glenn Youngkin in, because that's a name that's been mentioned to replace Kristi Noem at DHS. So it's got to be somebody that is super friggin' loyal that's going to replace Pam Bondi. That would be my only pushback on that. I think it's neck and neck between those two, though.
I agree that coincidentally, the two women are going to be the closest to getting fired. Sure, that has nothing to do, as a total coincidence, has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah,
but I agree. Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem are the biggest ones. Kristi Noem, I originally sent this article over to Steve and was like, "Hey, her and Tom Homan are feuding, and Tom Homan is pushing to get her out." And Tom Homan, for me, like, he is pretty darn safe. That guy. He's just all reliable. He's not going anywhere. But Kristi Noem, that became irrelevant almost today after her testimony before Congress, which she left early. Did you guys see that she left her testimony early?
Yeah.
In order to go to a meeting which had already been canceled, and everyone knew it had been canceled, and they tried to subpoena her to bring her back. Did you guys see that?
I didn't see that. No.
Oh my God, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. I'm gonna, before I get into, actually, I'll stop sharing here for a minute because I want to also share her. This is just beautiful today. Her being questioned and being caught red-handed in the middle of a lie under oath. Which of course nothing is going to happen.
This was
Tuesday for her. As far as congressional hearings go, this is pretty entertaining television.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
I don't believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Se-Jun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
I'm grateful for every single person that has served our country and follows our laws.
Can you please tell Mr. Park why you deported him?
Every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many veterans struggle with PTSD, many veterans struggle with substance abuse challenges. This man took 2 bullets for our country. You have broad authority, by the way, as Secretary, to issue humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case, but I want you to remember that
Madam Secretary, the man behind you, please stand up, sir. His name is Jim Brown from Troy, Missouri. He is a Navy combat veteran who served our country in the Gulf War. He's married to a woman named Donna, who came to our country legally from Ireland when she was 11 years old. She has lived here for 48 years. Because of you, Jim's wife, Donna, has been in prison for the last 4 months. She did not come here illegally, and she has never committed any crime other than writing 2 bad checks totaling $80 10 years ago. She is currently in prison and facing deportation. Ms. Noem, will you thank Mr. Brown for his service to our country?
Thank you, Mr. Brown, for your service to our country.
Now, what possible explanation can there be for locking up his wife for 4 months when she has committed no crime other than writing a couple of bad checks for $80?
Sir, it is not my prerogative, my latitude, or my job to pick and choose which laws in this country get enforced.
You have broad discretion as the Secretary. You can issue parole, you can do all kinds of things, but you're choosing not to. Will you commit again to just reviewing Donna's case and reuniting this combat veteran with his beloved wife who also loves this country?
I will review the case.
Madam Secretary.
So yeah, that was
Unreal.
just very funny to me. She's completely deer in headlights, and the fact that he had him stationed behind her was utterly excellent. And that's why, if you see someone go down, in my opinion, it will be her. As Steve mentioned, Trump doesn't want to be embarrassed, and that was embarrassing. She's just a woman who's looking for rakes to step on because she doesn't have any skill at this whatsoever.
Would you guys agree? Like, in just watching that again, I've seen that clip multiple times today because I keep going back. I'm thinking, I can't imagine sitting there and being exposed like that. But I can be petty. That's like next level petty, the way that they did that by having the Zoom, by having the gentleman placed strategically behind her. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
That's true. That's true. It was kind of refreshing to see someone do some positive performance art in politics and just embrace that that's the world we live in. This fantasy everyone has of Mr. Smith goes to Washington style politics, that's gone. Well, to the extent that it was ever real, but it certainly is gone now. I did sorry, I've actually been traveling all day, so I didn't see that clip, John, that but I did write something down when he said that we had this combat veteran who was shot twice and he was deported and everything. I don't know why she didn't just respond with, yeah, I like veterans who don't get shot. Well, why didn't she? That would have been perfect, right? I mean, she's not ready for, we've said this about Kristi Noem many times. She doesn't seem ready for the big leagues. I mean, she was the governor, but it was of South Dakota or something, the state, people, the population the size of like a small town or something like that. But yeah, she's like, yeah, I would have said, I like veterans who don't get shot. Get this drug-addled, shitty soldier out of here. That's the only way to get out of that. And it would work, too. It would work. So, yeah, maybe Kristi Noem's on thinner ice than I thought because she is losing the feel and the gut instincts of MAGA, if she ever had them at all.
But TJ, she made a great ad. She made a really great ad.
Wait, which one?
The one that her friends of a friend of a friend got a lot of money for, the ad that wasn't farmed out for bid. Her on horseback.
Yeah.
Rushmore behind her.
John and I did a segment a long time ago, like mid last year or something. She went to a dentist or an orthodontist for veneers or something like that. Mm-hmm. And she did a bunch of ads on, like, while she was still governor, she was doing ads for this orthodontist in Texas. It wasn't even in her state. And John and I were, because we were saying, we could maybe understand, hey, if you're promoting a South Dakota business or something. No, she went out of state to get her teeth fixed and was like doing several ads on Twitter. It's a weird individual, this Kristi Noem.
She probably went to Mexico and didn't want to admit it, actually.
Oh, I like that. That's
a good one. That's a good one. So Kristi Noem definitely in the danger zone. I liked the point that was brought up earlier. She's much easier to replace than Pam Bondi because Donald Trump could get his own personal lawyer to step in for the fired Virginia DA. And I can't imagine anyone actually wants Pam Bondi's job right now, given the amount of illegal things she is required to do on a daily basis. So she's probably sticking in there until she's in jail. Like, I can't imagine anyone else is going to want to step in and do her job.
John, if you would... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve. Go, please.
I was going to say, is she scheduled to appear as well? I have not seen that. Do we know if she's coming before Congress in the near future?
She will eventually. I don't know if she's scheduled right now. Today was a national security thing, so that she wouldn't have been in that one. But I mean, she'll be there eventually. I am more than sure.
I'm going to make popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Steve went first there because it kind of ties into what I was going to mention here. When Kristi Noem was being grilled there and everything, it brought up a question that I've thought of many times, in that why do they even bother going to these? I don't understand. If it's like back when the first person I saw, oddly enough, Pam Bondi was the first person who I saw do this, that I can't believe doesn't happen more often, is when Trump appointed her to be Attorney General. She went and sat before the Senate. And of course, this is all grandstanding. Even if it's a good political question, all of it is to get a good gotcha moment on a camera so you can put it on an ad so you can hurt your political opponents. It's very, not a lot actually serving the interest of the nation here. But they were asking her these tough questions and she just said, I don't have to answer you. And I said, yeah, you're right. You don't. I mean, you don't even have to show up. They're not going to put you in jail. I don't know why they go. I genuinely don't understand why they bother doing it. I mean, you could dunk on Democrats from your living room. You don't have to actually go there and do it. Yeah. So I'm glad you brought that up because I'd like to see what she does when she actually shows up. Philip Rivers could do it. Sorry, I read the comments.
I was going to say you, Chad.
Philip Rivers could do it. Philip Rivers. Wow. That was masterful. But folks who don't follow football, like, why? Who is Philip Rivers? And I want to highlight this one here. TJ is my favorite transgender YouTuber. That is a strong field of competition. So I'm glad to have that vote right there. That is good shit. All right, sorry, John. I'll put this back up.
I was going to say, what was that was that a reference to something, TJ? Or
no idea. No, it was just a very kind thing to say, John. I have no idea what it's in reference to, but I love it.
All right, so yeah, we got Pam Bondi. Is there anyone else? Who would you say is like most next in the danger? I would say Kash Patel.
God
damn, in the danger zone because nobody likes him. Like of all of these people, Kash Patel is the least competent, which is saying something, and the most just obviously bad at his job. Like everyone in the FBI seems to be mutinying against him. I would say that he was my number one pick for the first one out. He also doesn't come from the politics world, unlike Kristi Noem. So that would be my 2 cents. Steve, what do you think of Kash?
Well, I was just going to, something you said. Do you think that Kash Patel is more competent than, or you think Pete Hegseth is more competent than Kash Patel?
Yes.
Infinitely. Infinitely. I would
at
say,
the very least,
definitely say that.
A couple things. He has better media training, which is very important.
Okay, that's fair.
B, at least he technically was in the armed forces before starting his job. Kash Patel was a podcaster.
That's fair.
He wasn't even like working for a company. He was just doing his own thing. He was doing what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Least qualified, perhaps. That's fair. Yeah, I think Kash is on the list. I mean, I think, look at that triangle at the bottom there. Pam and Kash and Kristi. It's like you could put them in a hat.
Yeah, Kash Patel is like, listen, you know how the unfortunate reality of the human condition is that you judge people based on how they look. If someone like Disney villains, when you know who the villain is because that's the ugly person. The ugly person's the bad guy, whatever. Sure. Kash Patel looks like a cartoon character. I cannot believe this man is the director of the FBI. And yeah, he was like a podcaster before. He does have like, I think he was a lawyer. I think he's a lawyer. Like he was a lawyer for a few years. He worked for Trump or the Republicans back in his administration or whatever. He has a little bit of a background in this, but he seems so completely out of his element. He just doesn't seem like he knows what's going on. He's always, of course, this is the Trump administration, it doesn't matter, but he steps on his own dick in ways that seem sillier than a lot of the other people in the administration. So yeah, I think Kash Patel might just leave. Why is he there? Did he wake up thinking, man, I would really love to be director of the FBI? Had he ever said that before he was asked? It's just kind of odd that he's in the position to begin with. So yeah, Kash Patel is a good one. I just don't know if he wants the job, honestly. He doesn't act like it.
Do you guys know the story about when he landed in Utah investigating
with the jacket?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that he had remember there was no medium-sized jacket with the FBI on it, apparently on the plane anywhere. And they sent staff scrambling. He would not leave the plane. All they had was an extra large or a large. He wouldn't wear that. He ended up wearing a women's jacket. Somebody had to take their Velcro patches off their sleeves and put it on his jacket before he went out. I'm like, Politico reported on that. I heard the story from Reuters and AP. They all reported on it. So I'll take it as fact. But that tells you everything you need to know.
It does. And that's a great comment, Steve. It's going to make me rescind my statement because that is the most Trump administration thing anyone has ever done since John's favorite incident with the Four Seasons landscaping. Like that is perfect right there. Like coming out with a women's jacket because you can't find your own. But yeah.
Good point.
Stephen Miller, you're going to go there, John?
So Stephen Miller and Russell Vaught, I think we can do together. Russell Vaught, I have as safe because he's basically
safe as fuck.
As long as Trump is alive, he is there.
Yep.
Stephen Miller, I would put in the next tier down, not because I think he's in any more danger as things stand, but like that dude has some skeletons in his closet. Like a big scandal away. We literally found out he killed someone. Wouldn't surprise me one iota. I could see some scandal occurring with Stephen Miller where he gets out. Unlike Russell Vaught and Tom Homan, where I'm like, what these guys are too tough. There's no getting them out unless they want to leave.
I see Stephen Miller though as the policy driver behind everything. So I would see him as more safe, the three of them. But I get your point. I get your point. It would have to be something like, who knows? Like there's bloodletting going on in his basement, or they find bodies or something, right? It's like
that's the thing. Like your imagination can go to anywhere with him, and it's like, yep, I would believe it. I would believe that he did that. Yep.
So that's why actually I agree with Steve. I think Stephen Miller is safe as hell. Because yes, like I assume there's some scandal that could take him down, but I can't imagine what it would be, because if I think of terrible things that I could attribute to Stephen Miller, the more terrible the action gets, the more likely it seems Stephen Miller would do it. Like if someone found him just devouring the corpse of his mother, like, oh yeah, of course, that's just Steve. That's just Steve. That's what he does. I don't think it would be anything shocking. It's like, I don't know. I just I disagree. I think Stephen Miller is pretty safe too.
So what were those characters in Fury Road? Were they the Blood Boys? I think they're called the Blood Boys, right?
No, there was something else. It wasn't Blood Boys.
Yeah,
the blood bags are what they call
the blood bags. Is like what Max was and everything. But
with them, they're like the half. I gotta remember that. It'll come to me halfway through this.
Steve sounds like a great guy to have on a Left Wing Film Club, John. This guy has matched like tit for tat with every movie reference. This is great.
I'm old.
We totally should have Steve on for Left Wing Film Club. I totally agree with that. Steve, we sometimes review movies with political messaging. We call it Left Wing Film Club, but I think you would be down for that. The reason I put Steve, because he is a policy guy, but he's just small Russell Vaught in my mind. Like, there's no reason for him to exist other than that Russell Vaught wants him there, and I imagine he wants him there as a scapegoat in case things go wrong. I cannot put him on the same level as Russell Vaught.
Hard disagree, John.
Really?
Yeah.
You think he has a function?
Yes, I think he functions as a mouthpiece, and one of the most effective, but one of the most tenacious, one of the most fearless and adapt. He's he no shame. Remember when he's bald and he painted hair on his head, like high definition cameras wouldn't catch that. What? That was years ago, Steve. That was during the first Trump. Whoa, wait. I think it was during Trump's first administration. But he went on CNN or something, and he had he had just spray painted hair on. John's looking at the picture. But no, I think Trump values someone who is loyal to him. Number one, check. He's got that. Someone who doesn't back down from a fight. Also check. I don't think that. I think he serves a valuable purpose in getting out in front of the camera and saying all this caustic, obnoxious stuff, and Trump's going to love it. So as long as he's good at that, I think that he does serve a purpose. Did John find the picture? Hold on.
Well, he also makes Trump look less extreme because Stephen Miller is way the
there it is. On the right there.
This is real. This is not a photo.
Yes,
this is not AI. He actually did this.
Oh my God. I had no idea that existed. Holy shit.
Yeah, a man willing to go to those lengths and look that absurd, I just think that I wouldn't put anything else past him.
Wow. That's an SNL skit waiting to happen right there. I'll tell you what.
I mean, he's a cartoon character. He is. We'll see. I just think most of these guys are really safe, is what I'm saying, and I feel like he at least has a bomb in him. Speaking of the next safest guy, I would say it's Marco Rubio. I'd put him in just kind of the center, probably safe, just because I know Trump really doesn't like him. So I imagine his leash is pretty short. And he just seems like a guy that would be a patsy. Like if you look at this room and you're like, which one of these guys is a patsy? It's fucking Marco Rubio. But I would be fine with putting him safer. Like he's just boring as shit vanilla ice cream.
So this depends, John. Which job would he be fired from? Because he could be fired from one and still hold 5 others like he does right now. So he might be the safest person on here because Trump had to fire him 6 different times to get him out of the White House. So I don't know. What do you think, Steve?
Well, I think because I'm thinking of 2028, and I think the 2 names that most prominently featured would be Marco Rubio and JD Vance. And I think obviously we know that Peter Thiel obviously favors JD Vance for that next position. So Marco Rubio could be seen as a threat. So I don't know if it would be for John because he seems like he's the most sane of all of them.
Out by a country mile, he's the most sane person on this list. Yeah.
Yeah, but he might lose his job for other reasons other than the incompetence. I mean, from a political strategy perspective, thinking ahead. Yeah, I'd put him in the probably safe. They'd have to run it by Peter Thiel, see what he says before they make the decision.
If he's smart, he'll leave, right? Like you would think, if I was Marco Rubio right now, I would be planning an exit like quick as hell. I mean, I would be out of there by the summer, I'd imagine. There's no way he's not thinking it because, yeah, you're right that obviously the Republicans are going to go with Vance next unless something catastrophic happens. Like their plan is, okay, after Trump, we're going to go with Vance. And if you're Rubio, you know that. You know you're not getting the nod, right? You know that odds are they're going to go with Vance. So I was like, okay, if I leave and Trump collapses down to, 28% approval rating or something like that, I can be the guy who said, hey, I knew something was wrong. And so that's why I think that would be the smart move. I don't know if he will, but I don't know. That's my guess.
Yeah, TJ, you're right.
I was going to ask you both a question. Can I ask you both a question about that? Because who do you think, because any Republican nominee is going to need some MAGA voters to support them. Who is more likely? Because MAGA hates JD Vance. They really don't like him. The polling that I've seen, they do not like him. So who's more likely to get some MAGA support enough to become a nominee?
The MAGA support, actually, we'll go over that a little bit later in the show today, that the MAGA support is so fractured. And the part that matters, I don't think the part that helps put Trump over the edge isn't going to vote for anybody. I think that the people that really coalesce behind Trump, like the non-politically affiliated folks, I don't think they'll vote for either of these folks. They're not going to be a Vance, Rubio, or any type of person. So I mean, it's kind of a cop-out answer, but I don't think any of them are going to capture the actual MAGA folks. But the Republican Party will still exist, and I think Rubio, if he's smart, will try to get out of Dodge and try to get those people.
That's interesting. John,
yeah, I would say MAGA is going to be fractured. We're going to get to that, and Trump is not going to name an heir because why would Trump bother?
Why would he do that?
All Trump matters. All that matters to Trump is Trump. Why would he care who replaces him? He doesn't give a shit. So they're going to go to different people. Like there's going to be a fracturing of the MAGA base. So I don't think there's one answer to that question. I will say with Marco Rubio, TJ, you're 100% right. Like that's what he should do.
Yeah,
he should be positioning himself as the canary in the coal mine that gets the fuck out of Dodge and blows the thing up right before it was going to blow up anyway, and like saves the day. And he's the reasonable, but MAGA still Republican. But he's too much of a bitch. Like, sipping his water bottle. Marco Rubio isn't this Machiavellian actor. He's going to just keep sucking on whatever tit's going to feed him.
There's this first rat to jump off the ship, so to speak.
Yes, yeah. There's this horrible trap the Republicans have caught themselves in with Donald Trump, in that. Well, you're right. I think that the only thing that could possibly be stopping Marco Rubio is he doesn't want Trump to tarnish him. He doesn't want Trump to turn on him, and because that will turn at least a few Republicans against him. And that the Republican problem is that Trump's endorsement really matters in the primary. It doesn't matter in the general, but he can sink your primary ambitions. He can sink you amongst other Republicans because it's going to be like the what's her name from South Carolina. No, the governor. She ran Indian American. She was what?
Tulsi?
No, she was her name's tip of my tongue. She changed her Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley.
Right.
She's gonna have that lane ready to go. She can pick that up at any time. So it's gonna any turbulence against that is gonna walk against him. So he's got to really thread that needle to make sure he doesn't upset the Republicans too much by quitting, but we'll see.
That's a good point. Good point.
Thank you, Huge Ass, for telling me. I didn't see it there.
to wrap it up, where do you guys put Hegseth and RFK on this list? I would put them both in down but not out. They're not quite in the danger zone because they seem to have better skills than Kristi Noem and Kash Patel at staying alive. But what you guys agree with that?
I would put Hegseth in the down but not out. I think Kennedy's safer than perhaps we might think, only because of the MAGA movement. I think there's been a lot of energy behind that. I think people see credibility in him for whatever fucking reason. But I think he's a little bit safer than Hegseth.
I think I agree 100% with that. Hegseth, I don't think he's. Actually, I would bump it up a little bit. I would put Kennedy in the gonna need a big scandal and Hegseth in the probably safe. I don't think Hegseth's going anywhere. That's where I put it. But I mean, look, if overseeing the a bombing on Iran, if overseeing Venezuelan murders and aggression, the horrible stuff he's done just with the morale of the troops in general, I just don't think anything's gonna take him down really. But also, but I'm ranking RFK Jr. higher because what the fuck, man? RFK Jr. Okay, listen, this guy, his whole thing is. It is my goal to make America healthy again. With my ridiculous acronym MAGA, even dumber than MAGA or whatever. And in order to do this, my grand vision to make Americans healthy is to put pure cane sugar in Coca-Cola and to take out red food dye from candy or beef tallow in fast food fry. It's absurd. None of it matters at all, but he does have fans. But there are a lot of people who are RFK Jr. fans. There aren't any Pete Hegseth fans to my knowledge. So yeah, that's why I would rank him a little bit higher. That they would need to be something insane. And once again, it's kind of like the, what's his name, Stephen Miller thing. You tell me a crazy thing that happened with this guy had a worm in his brain. This guy's wife committed suicide when she found out that he cheated on her 38 times and had a journal written about. I mean, he had the head of a dead whale tied to the top of his van. He went swimming in look, he is the only invincible Kennedy. That's what we found out. Like, he is the one Kennedy that you actually cannot take down. The rest of them go down real easy. But RFK Jr., that guy, he's Superman essentially. So yeah, I'm putting him right there. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, and don't forget, what's a little felching between friends?
What's a little felching between exactly?
I think you've definitely convinced me he's up there. The thing I was thinking about with RFK was that he has bigger guns pointed at him than anyone else. Like the amount of anger he gets from actual politicians that want him out is intense relative to, say, Kash Patel, who no one really gives a shit about. No, you can't get that angry at Kash Patel. Pete Hegseth you can get angry at, but I just feel like he's just pretty Teflon. Like as long as Trump keeps him in there, he's got to commit some pretty more serious war crimes. And if we go to war with Venezuela, for sure, it's going to up the intensity on him because, well, we're going to be at war and he's going to have to do war shit. And we know he's not ready for that.
More shit. Yeah, he's definitely not ready. I like that list. I'd sign off on that. I think that's a pretty good lineup right there. Yeah.
Love it. Right. Well, let us know in the comments if you agree with our list or not. And we'll probably update this in a couple months. I saved this one, so we'll come back to it and see what our predictions played out.
Steve, this is like our fourth time doing this list. Actually, I don't even remember what our original ones were. We do this all the time because
I didn't think to save them before, though, TJ. So I guess I could go back and look at the video, but I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. We're pretty lazy.
I wonder how much it's changed.
I think Pam Bondi was always my number one. I think Pam Bondi was always high on my list, and I haven't changed from that. I would like to see it because it probably hasn't changed much. I'd like to see that.
The thing that has changed the most is the field. None of them get fired. Like that one has risen way high because in the first term he fired everyone. Like he was firing people left and right. He hasn't fired a single one of them, and that was a surprise to me. I would have bet good money that multiple of them would have been gone in the first year, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Agreed.
I see a comment here from Glizzy Goblin saying, everyone stop talking about the Epstein files and the list. Maybe all this BS is exactly what they want us talking about or thinking about. I guess. I guess it depends. Okay, you know what, Steve? We'll ask you. So this is something we talk about on the show with the Epstein thing. I'm of the opinion that the Epstein thing isn't going to we're never going to see it. I don't think we'll ever see the list. And I think that people kind of got riled up and they wanted something to get behind, and more people talked about it. And I think they said, hey, we're going to pass this. We're going to do it. Wink, wink, nod. And It's never going to happen. I don't see another uprising like that happening again. And Trump can put this off as long as he wants. He can say, oh, this is under investigation. Actually, I haven't even heard his reason. I heard him saying that Pam Bondi will be releasing stuff, but nothing happened. I think that this will die down. I don't think this is some conspiracy, Glizzy. I think that that's just how the news cycle works. What do you think, Steve?
I don't think so, only because of the fact that there's been so much attention on it and we're hearing more and more from survivors, and because the Oversight Committee is getting more information from the Epstein estate. And I think there's more than one copy of information. So I think it would not come out through the channels that we might expect and that it should, meaning that, the Transparency Act gets signed into law. I think December 19th is the date the DOJ, based on the law, is supposed to release information, but they're not the only ones that are in possession of this information. I think you're going to see more and more things start to leak. Okay. So that's where you might get more stress in the administration, because the Donald is feeling it. You can tell. Everything. Every time that the conversation comes up, he gets all gristly. Looking for his safety Big Mac to be able to run to. I really do think you're gonna see more. Maybe not everything, to your point, TJ, but I think you're gonna see more than we've seen so far.
I love to think that there's like some Secret Service member carrying around a emotional support Big Mac for Donald Trump whenever he gets too stressed out, and just like, here you go, Donald. All right, so I think that segment about the cabinet members transitions nicely into the influencer civil war that's going on in MAGA right now, because it is very, very, very funny. Every time I read it, and there's multiple fronts to this war, and we're going to detail them here today. But every time I read about this, it's just reading the "oh, I can't believe the leopards ate my face" party tweet just over and over again in different detail. It really, at the center of a lot of this right now, are, I would say, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens attacking everyone. But to list off just a few of the scandals we have here. So we have Candace Owens versus Turning Point USA. In fact, this is probably where we have to start today, because it's probably the most insane one, where Candace Owens, for those who don't know her, she is the black token woman in the MAGA influence sphere. And she claims that Turning Point USA was aware that Charlie Kirk was going to be assassinated. Specifically, Charlie Kirk's essentially chief of staff knew that he was going to be assassinated and said nothing about it because he was promised he would be the next Charlie Kirk. That is the line that Candace Owens is going with. Turning Point USA obviously massively and aggressively refuted this and challenged her to come on their own live stream, and she didn't do it, which I thought was a pretty bitch move. But that one is probably the biggest brouhaha happening right now, and there's multiple, but that's probably the biggest one. Steve, I see you nodding there. Have you been following this one?
I have, and it's interesting because you're right. I mean, Candace had a pretty good sphere of influence, and she was always, I'm not going to say I respected her, but she was at least willing to challenge some information that was being kept secret, that the administration was hiding things, whether it be Epstein. And then this whole thing comes out, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm as far from a conspiracy theorist as you'll ever find. But there are things there that just like, yeah, that tracks, and Mossad's involvement and Bibi Netanyahu being involved and Turning Point connections to, influencers around the world. So it's hard to know what to believe, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not convinced of the claims made regarding Tyler Robinson. I won't go down that particular road because that's a whole different conversation. But there are so many things that just do not make sense to me. That just don't make sense. I'm trying to square it.
So Candace Owens, the comment here by KM1-6 says, "I love Candace Owens. She's such a chaos agent." Yes, 1,000 times yes. Like Candace Owens, Candace Owens is I'm not I'm not an expert on this or anything, but she seems to be a great example of just clinical psychopathy. Like Candace Owens, I refer to her as a failed Terminator. Like she was meant to actually go out and kill people, but the wiring went wrong somehow, and it's like, oh, she's actually just a horrible human being, and so of course the right wing loves her. And I've heard nobody talk about, setting aside the right wing civil war thing, about the fact that she spent weeks on air saying that the French government tried to assassinate her.
Yep.
Remember that? That's just blown by. That's just happened. Oh yeah. And before that, she was going to court to say that Macron's wife is transgender or something. Just there. She has never seen a conspiracy too insane for her. So yeah, she's gonna hop on this. She's gonna go right for it. And I don't know. It's you take Candace Owens under your wing here. Like Candace Owens, she has no principles and no scruples. She sued her high school for racial discrimination, and then went on to say actually racism is not a real thing. To the extent that it does exist, it's only towards white people. I don't know why black people are complaining about this. We're actually pretty terrible folks. And then this thing comes out, and I do find it really funny that the origins of the MAGA movement can be directly traced to the Civil War, and that it's going to end in its own civil war. I find that very funny. And but of course, Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson would do this because Candace Owens is better at this than most of these other guys. She's just better at it. There's ever since the Rush Limbaugh days, there's been a huge incentive in fact, the only true incentive for right-wing content creators is to say acerbic, incendiary, harmful words and shock people into being upset, and then, get more people on your side. And there's a huge bag of money waiting for you when you're done. Candace Owens knows that. I don't know if she believes anything she says. There are certain right-wing content creators that we think are, genuine. I don't think Candace Owens is. I think that she will say whatever she will say because she knows how to push people's buttons and she's great at it. I can't take away from her skill. What do you think, John?
No, I think Candace Owens to me is the most interesting part of all of this, because if you kind of if I had just listened to this segment right now, like all these crazy things she's saying, I'd be like, oh, this is a person on the end of her rope. This is a person who is desperately reaching out and clutching for straws to remain relevant, especially knowing that she was a huge rising star at the Daily Wire until she started feuding with Ben Shapiro. He fired her, and then she kind of went away. But oh my God, Candace Owens is the hottest thing right now in MAGA land. Like I talk to just normal people about this, and Candace Owens' name has come up in the mouths of people who I didn't think knew who the fuck she was. And by the way, they don't call her Candace Owens. Like I hear people referring to her as Candace and assuming I know who they're talking about. She has a level of fame now that I actually was surprised to learn about, because to me, she was a dying breed. But no, she is one of the hottest names, one of the most important influential figures right now. And her going to war with Turning Point, which was previously the largest, when Charlie Kirk was there, the largest influence network. And her just deciding, I'm going to go to war with them. I'm going to go to war with Daily Wire. I'm going to go to war with Turning Point. I'm going to go to war with everyone. And it's fucking working. I don't know how long this shtick can last. Also go to war with the president of France. Like she's just going to war with everyone. Doesn't matter. Anyone can get these hands, is what Candace Owens is saying. And can't deny it's entertaining. And it's working for her, which is the crazy part.
I think you're right, John. It's like, what's the end game for her, though, right? Because she's fracturing all these potential relationships she's had. She's not really liked anywhere except for her own fans. But those fans come from all communities. There's Groypers connected to it. There's MAGA. There's America First. Like she's got fans across the board. So is this a new movement for her? Does she reinvent herself as the leader of a post MAGA world? A post-America First world. Maybe she and Marjorie Taylor Greene become a power couple, so to speak. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing, I think Candace Owens is winning. Candace Owens, like she reminds me. There's a Norm Macdonald joke I remember hearing a long time ago where he says, back in the early 1900s, you had this country of Germany, and they decided to go to war. And as their opponent, they chose the world. That was they chose to fight the world. And the crazy thing is, they almost won. And then they did it again 30 years later. That's what Candace Owens seems like to me. Like she doesn't seem to need allies. She's just going out there, like John said, she went against publicly against Ben Shapiro at the time, who had way more power in the conservative media than he does now. Now, Charlie Kirk's death is like when the comedian died in The Watchmen, and now everyone's just scrambling. There's this horrible chain of events, and so she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go against his wife." And I would have never guessed that. I gotta say, I would have never guessed that. Like, making fun of Charlie Kirk's wife is our job, and Candace Owens comes in and is like, "No, actually, I'm gonna get up. I want me some of this." And so she's on there. She's calling. She's essentially saying she had her husband murdered. I don't even say that. And Candace is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this."
She said there was an assassination attempt against her life. She claimed that someone tried to kill her.
Yes. Yeah. And so, I wish I'd make excuses, but I wanted to find this clip for the show. I couldn't get it back in time, but there was a debate, not a debate, but a discussion between Tim Pool and Milo Yiannopoulos, who's still alive, I guess. Milo Yiannopoulos and Tim Pool. And Milo was telling, he's like, the MAGA is on Candace's side. Like, a lot of people, like Tim Pool mentioned he'd lost thousands of followers since speaking out against Candace Owens. I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. I think that when you cultivate like, what is MAGA? Like we talked about before, it's this loose confederation of flat earthers and red pillars and conspiracy theorists, white nationalists, just this hodgepodge that doesn't really belong together. They are gonna gravitate toward the craziest, most toxic person, and Candace Owens does it better than anyone, and she has the added benefit that she's good at it, and she's pretty, and she's a woman, and she's black. She's unique. She's like, there's nobody else like her in the entire field. So I think she's got a long career ahead of her in doing this kind of shit, because this is what attracts those type of people. And they're always going to be around. They may not be a strong political movement forever, but they will always be able to, send money to watch that content.
I have a hard time with the truck nut driving rednecks who identify themselves as MAGA. They're full blown racists. Never ever getting behind Candace. But I think we can agree that she's a political opportunist, and she's taking advantage of that. And she's got this celebrity, and she's going to use it, and she'll find her spot. She's smart. She's good. She's good at what she does. I think she'll be fine. I think Candace will be fine.
Yes, Steve. See, Steve. She gets points with those people though by being,
I agree,
the most anti-Semitic of all of these. Like,
true.
She gets the points back. She's not going to be the guy. She's not going to run for president. She's not going to lead the movement herself. But positioning herself as a power broker, she very much can. Even like TJ said, Tim Pool was like, she's the person right now. And did you guys see, like, Tim Pool just cursed her the fuck out? Did you guys see that?
Yeah, I wanted to bring that clip for the show, but I
got it. I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, yeah. It's the angriest I've ever seen Tim Pool,
which is saying something. Like, this was in response to this was in response to her saying that Turning Point USA was aware of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Do we have this pulled up right now? Yeah.
If this is what happens if Charlie Kirk is killed, Candace Owens is a fucking evil scumbag. She is a degenerate cunt. She is burning everything down, and she's gloating and smiling while she does it. And you know what you fucking told me? She has no security. She doesn't fucking deal with the shit we have to deal with. She's a piece of shit. She's making everyone else suffer. And all of these fucking conservatives out there that send me these fucking messages have no fucking balls to call her out. More and more people have started doing it. They send me these fucking messages. Good for you, Tim. Good for you, Tim. I wasn't the first person to do it. I'm not going to take credit for that. But don't fucking DM me like I did something for you as you fucking cower, scared that she'll put you on her thumbnail and claim you benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination, which he's doing to me right fucking now.
Yeah, I feel like Tim might have not gotten his Venmo from the Russian government. That's probably why he's so damn angry.
Look, that is a fantastic example of why Candace Owens is going to win this, because Candace Owens. Oh, wait, someone say wait.
No, I was going to say it's a good point.
Oh yeah, this is why Candace Owens is going to win, because Candace Owens would never do that. Candace Owens knows that, hey, this is an act, man. This is a game. This isn't personal, and even it is, fuck you. This is what we do. Like, we insult and tear down people with conspiracy theories. I don't understand it. And I have her response to. Did you see her response to Tim Pool's meltdown, John?
No, I actually didn't.
No.
Oh,
wait.
God, you guys are gonna love
Didn't
it.
she say something? Wait. Do you have it right now? Because I think
Yeah,
know
I
what
got
you're
it.
talking about.
Yeah, I got it.
Bring
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
up.
pull it up because look at the contrast between Candace Owens and Tim Pool right here, and it's Exhibit B of why I think Candace Owens is going to run away with this war.
So there's a lot to unpack there. First and foremost, what you are seeing right there is on a display of testosterone. Men that speak to women like this are not tough guys, okay? What you are seeing is actually a display of estrogen. Everything he is doing there is somebody who is not a man, he is not tough, and he would never dare to speak to a man like that, right? People that find that very easy. Secondly, Tim Pool doesn't even have the intellect to understand that we put him in the thumbnail because he accused me in a full episode with Milo Yiannopoulos, which we showed and contextualized, of being someone who benefited from Charlie Kirk's assassination. So he thinks he's being accused. No, you accused me of that in like a actually, I think it was 2-hour episode with Milo Yiannopoulos, in which Milo defended me and explained that I am not to blame for the lame excuses that the feds have given us regarding Charlie Kirk's assassination. And that if we do need to have some spiritual searching in terms of what the Republican Party has become, that the time for that is now.
Listen, if I didn't know anything about this situation and I saw this, I was like, oh, clearly Candace Owens is probably right. She's the one who seems calm and measured. And of course, Tim Pool. It is great because she covered both lanes. She covered the conservative attack of, look at this estrogen-filled bitch. Look at this guy. This guy's not a real man. And then she went, I'm a feminist now. How dare he talk to a woman that way? Can you believe he is like, well, who is this guy trying to flex his power over weak, tiny Candace Owens here? He would never talk to it. It's great. It's masterful. I hate giving the devil his due, but Candace Owens knows what she's doing, and I think she's going to run away with this.
I agree.
And the skill on display there, like she has like achieved a level of skill in terms of just media personality that none of these other guys really have. Like when you look at her, you just the presence, the enunciation. She seems like someone who used to be on Fox or was on Fox. Like only Tucker Carlson matches her. In terms of
I was going to say the same thing. The only person I think who does it as well as Candace, I think Tucker actually does it better than Candace Owens, but I would expect him to. He's 60 years old, and he was actually on TV for decades. But yeah, she does a great job, and that's why these folks are so dangerous. Like I would think. Like we talked about Marco Rubio and JD Vance, the person who would scare me the most if they ran for president is Tucker Carlson. If Tucker Carlson decided to run for president, I would be terrified because he has just as good a chance as anyone else, and he's a way better communicator. He has spent decades perfecting white supremacist subterfuge. He does it better than anyone I've seen. And Candace Owens is close, but she can't do it. Being a black woman, they're not going to go that far. But Tucker Carlson does frighten me on that. We're not talking about him, but we brought him up.
Well, since you brought him up there, because there is a clear battle line being drawn here, and Candace and Tucker are on the same side.
Same side, no surprise.
And one of the biggest battle lines being drawn is over Israel, because you have your pro-Israel contingent of the Republican Party, and you have your anti-Israel contingent of the Republican Party, some of which are anti-Israel for a lot of the reasons we are, and most of which are anti-Israel because they're very fucking anti-Semitic. And Candace Owens is 100% in the latter camp. I don't need to relitigate all of the horrible, horrible anti-Semitic shit she said. Tucker Carlson, I feel like, is more in the former camp. Like I don't know if Tucker Carlson's anti-Semitic. I haven't seen much proof of it. But he's been on the anti-Israel shit since before. Like he was anti-Israel before when Biden was in office. Like he was pounding that. Tucker Carlson, I actually think, is very, very dangerous. Like you're right. He has actual connections. He has the communication chops. He is actually pretty smart. Tim Pool. He does have some sort of brain in between those ears of his, but like he was persona non grata. He was cooed. He was taken out for Fox. He had everyone taken from him. I thought he was gonna just retire into obscurity. He has built himself up back brick by brick, and he's positioning himself to totally take over the reins of the MAGA. Like you're saying, Steve, who's going to take the reins? I don't know politically who it's going to be, but I would put good money on Tucker Carlson becoming the number one media personality in whatever party emerges from the death of Donald Trump.
You bring up a really good point, because there's never really been vocal leadership in the anti-Israel section of the MAGA movement. It's always been right below the surface. Nobody's been really willing to be loud about it, because people in MAGA, they didn't want to be connected to the pro-Hamas group. So anti-Israel became pro-Hamas. They wouldn't go that far, right? So you're right about Tucker and Candace have clearly they've cleared the field. Right, they have this lane. It's theirs. It belongs to them. I think you're right. I don't see Tucker as someone even wanting the presidency. I think he'd be more like a Stephen Miller kind of person, someone who's behind the scenes, setting policy, galvanizing support, using his connections, using his resources. He's really dangerous.
So, Steve, I would say, like, I can see him being a kingmaker. But if I'm Tucker Carlson, I'm sitting there going, who the fuck am I going to make king who's going to do a better job than me? Like genuinely, I don't see anyone with a larger presence in the fucking right wing of the entire political sphere right now as Tucker Carlson. Like, he's the guy if he wants it.
That's a good point.
Tucker Carlson's going to pull a Dick Cheney. John, I don't know if you remember this, but back when George W. Bush ran for president, he started a committee to look for a vice presidential candidate, and he appointed Dick Cheney to vet all these recommendations for his vice president. And he says, yeah, George, I don't think it would work out. How about you just pick me? And I think that's a Tucker Carlson. Yeah, you're right. If I were to, especially after Trump, because Tucker Carlson, rather famously, in the texts that were leaked when Fox was being sued by Dominion, he said, I think Donald Trump is a demon. I think he is a destructive force on the United States. I'm so glad he's going to be taken out of power. So, the whole kingmaker thing is like, well, I don't know. It might end up with another Trump. So I don't know how that's going to go. We were talking about the fact that there were people like, we didn't even mention like Kanye West. When Candace Owens came out, she was like vociferously defending Kanye West, who started his whole thing by putting out a tweet saying, tomorrow morning, I'm going DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people. Not Israel, not Netanyahu's policy, just explicitly saying I'm going DEFCON 3 on all Jewish people. And she say, listen, it's not fair to call him anti-Semitic because he did this. Like, whoa, boy, how good of friends are you with Kanye West? Like, there's no defending that. And she stuck by him the whole time, which was her beef with Ben Shapiro. And we didn't even talk about Ben Shapiro and how he's getting caught in this crossfire here. He's going to be the first to go. And Ben Shapiro, he's one of the people we mentioned that I think Ben Shapiro actually does have principles. I think they're insane. I think that they bend. He was always an anti-Trump guy, but when it was clear, Trump was going to win, he's like, okay, well, I guess I got to defend Trump now. I don't think he's ever really liked Trump, but I think that in his heart of hearts, like he says that I don't think men should wear a dress. He thinks it's a sin. He thinks it's a crime against God. I don't think he's performing when he does that. And I think that he's willing to accept anti-Semitism. He's not willing to accept anti-Israel stuff. That's kind of where he drew the line there. But someone else we haven't mentioned, who's also a big figure in the right-wing podcasting group, Nick Fuentes. And this guy went on Piers Morgan's show. We talked about it on Tuesday. This is one of the clips of Piers Morgan doing something that would have worked 10, 15, certainly 20 years ago, where you try to get a right-winger to admit their crazy views. And I don't know about you guys. I don't think this is a successful tactic, but let's see what happens.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this.
And that's one. I have one more here. Where is it?
Damn.
Here we go.
Jews.
Okay, here's another one here.
This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
There They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah.
All right, here's my question to Piers Morgan. If you had multiple clips of a guy saying, yeah, I'm racist, yes, I'm a sexist, I'm a homophobe, I'm a misogynist, all that, why would you think he's going to be embarrassed by that? I'm sure you guys caught it. Like when he's playing the clip, he said, yeah, black people need to all be in jail. The clip ends, you see him nodding. And Piers Morgan's like, I got him now. You believe everything you say there? Of course he fucking does. This isn't going to work anymore. You need to do better than relying on your idea that, well, everyone just kind of agrees that racism is bad. You can't do that anymore. I wish that were the case, but it's not. And you should certainly know it by now in 2025 that Nick Fuentes had dinner with the president of the United States. Like he and Kanye West at the same time. And like he is a popular figure on the right. He isn't a fringe guy like he was 5 years ago or something, or a person that very few people had heard of. He has a significant following, and is an actual representative of what a giant portion of the right wing actually believes. And people need to stop pretending that that's not the case, or that you can kind of burn people into admitting that they're racist and that's going to do anything, because yeah, they will gladly tell you to your face.
One of the things I talk a lot about on my show is about the right-wing social media ecosphere. Wired magazine a few years ago did an amazing story about that, and they used like word clouds and thought bubbles, and they compared the right with circles compared to the left. And there was no, it was Tucker, it was Andrew Tate, it was Ben Shapiro, it was all these names that we know. And my concern is that this behavior and this rhetoric has just become normalized. We have to talk about it because it's the threat. It's what we see. It's the concern we all have as parents and whatever else, but it's become normalized. Like Piers Morgan, people know who Piers Morgan is. They bring this guy on his show, and to your point, DJ, unapologetically racist, unapologetically anti-Semitic and hateful, and it's just becoming too normal. And that makes me nervous, to be honest. There's gonna be a lot of recovery from this chapter in our nation's history.
There's I would genuinely believe that Piers Morgan, when he brought Nick Fuentes on his show, really, really thought he was going to beat the shit out of Nick Fuentes and put him in his place. I bet you that he thought he was, policing the right by bringing him on his show. And oh my God, you can just see from that clip how incredibly unprepared he was for the reality that he helped create. Like that's the thing that has me laughing all the way home with all of this is, Pierce, you did this, bro. This is the world of your creation. Don't sit there and be all high and mighty and pretend like you didn't do this. He's doing the same thing you did, and he's just saying the quiet parts out loud. And same thing with Ben Shapiro. He did the same fucking thing when Tucker Carlson platformed Nick Fuentes and was like, how dare you platform this clearly anti-Semitic Nazi love? He's like, bro, this is the bed you guys made. You guys didn't have a problem with this when all of the Nazis were quietly following you and doing as they were told. And now you suddenly have a problem that they're saying the quiet part out loud. Don't sit here and pretend that you didn't notice. We've been telling you this for fucking years now.
Yeah. And that actually, you're right, John. That is what bothers me the most about this, from right wingers specifically, is that, so it doesn't apply to Piers Morgan necessarily, but he's not, I wouldn't say he's necessarily a right winger. He's right wing in a lot of things, but I don't think of him as a conservative thought leader.
He's an odd egg. He doesn't fit in American politics very neat.
Yeah. But they have the temerity to act shocked and surprised that there's a healthy movement of Nazis and fascists, all after years of pretending that people that said, oh, all these criticisms you have against us, you guys call everything racist. What are you talking about here? What are you talking about? Sorry, John's wife in the background.
That was funny.
She does sometimes, but I know. Yeah. So, and something I bring up on the show, like for Ben Shapiro specifically, who has never met a racist argument he didn't like until it applied to him, right? Like that's the only time that because people used to do this a lot when you talk about the crimes and the genocides of the Israeli government and everything, and they say, it's not right for you to criticize the Israeli government because of the historic persecution that Jewish people have suffered over the years and after World War II and everything. And no one denies that. I mean, I certainly don't. I certainly don't deny that Jewish people have been, historic.
A lot of people do deny it, TJ. Let's be clear.
That's why I said, yeah. That's why I changed as nobody. Yeah, that's not true. But but even so, past persecution does not absolve you from present crimes. And you know how I know the right wing knows this? Because they say it about black people all the time. Every time you say that there's hey, listen, and in a correct way that, well, black people in the United States have been, systemically disenfranchised, and we're like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what happened back then. It only seems to matter when you're talking about what Israel does. But yeah, their idea that you can just, Piers Morgan, that you can embarrass these people and thinking that, oh, I'm going to ask him if he's racist and he's going to dance around it. I'm going to catch him. He's going to try to qualify his words, which is why, John, remember this, back when Elon Musk did the Nazi salute, a lot of liberals, I saw them making videos and stuff saying, hey, if you don't think that was a Nazi salute, how about you do it now? How about you do it for the camera? No, don't do that. They will. Like, I don't think it is outside the bounds of possibility. I don't think it's unlikely that they will just start doing this at Trump rallies and saying, oh, look, we're triggering all the libs. Isn't this funny? After watching Nick Fuentes and knowing how popular he is with the right wing, I see no reason to believe something like that won't happen in the next couple of years.
Agreed. Yeah, and that's a lot of recovery for our society. I'm so tired of the cruelty and just the hatred towards people. I'm 58, got 3 kids, and trying to raise people just to show a little empathy and a little bit of kindness and a little bit of respect towards other people, just to be fucking human. And it's just I struggle. I mean, Piers Morgan is performative. Piers will go wherever he can get clicks. Right? He's a chameleon. He'll just adapt depending on his audience is. But I think you guys call it out, and he should have known what he was going to get with Nick Fuentes. He should have
known better.
Exactly, he should have known better. If you don't want to be associated with that, then don't bring him on your fucking show, because you know exactly what he's going to say, right?
What do you think? John and I go through cycles of doomerism every now and again. We had one on Tuesday where we just said, all is lost. It's the book of Ecclesiastes up in here. And we just start talking about what life must be like for a high schooler today. I can't imagine it. When we were all at different stages in high school and everything like that, there was at least some semblance that, you know what? Life is hard, it's difficult out there, things aren't perfect, but you get out there, you work hard, it's gonna suck, you're gonna be broke for a while, but you put in some elbow grease, keep your nose to the grindstone, and you're gonna come out on top. Things are gonna get better one day. I could not look a 15-year-old in the face and say that. I can't. I just can't do it. I know they don't believe it. I have a hard time believing it. Or that if things get better, it's going to be a very long time from now. We've done decades of damage to the United States in the last 8 years or so. And so watching people flock, these kids, boys, Nick Fuentes' audience is probably, teenage boys in their, guys in their early 20s, maybe something like that. That's his primary audience. Mm-hmm. They're already fans of Hitler. And I don't know if you guys know this listening, but men do not usually get less conservative with age. That's not usually how this works. They tend to get worse. So I'm looking at this guy is a huge fan of Hitler, has millions of followers in the upper echelons of the conservative movement, of the 2 major parties in the United States. Things look pretty bad. What do you do to tell yourself that, oh yeah, maybe we can get something done here?
Yeah, I've done some shows. In fact, I'm doing one tomorrow night about red pilling. And red pilling and black pilling. And that's kind of what you're talking about how easy it is. It's the aggrieved youth. They talk about, I think, first of all, the male loneliness epidemic, I think, is bullshit. To be honest, I think it's just contrived to try to create men as victims. But I think you're right. They're targeting. The gap is getting wider and wider. Women are becoming more and more liberal at a much faster rate than men are becoming more conservative. But the gap is getting wider and wider. And it's going to take a lot of parenting. I don't know if you guys have kids. I'm obviously quite a bit older than you, just a couple years older than you guys. Anyway,
A couple years older than TJ.
Well, wait, that's actually another one of our favorite topics is red pill stuff. That is, yeah. Listen, Steve is like a member of the show.
I knew Steve would be good. Like the moment I heard him open his mouth, I was like, I gotta message that guy and get him on the show.
Thanks. But you know, but you guys see it, right? And this is what what Fuentes does, and Charlie Kirk was. I mean, Charlie Kirk was really, really good at what he did. And I don't think there's ever been an acknowledgement from the left about that enough. I know that there's opposition groups out there, whether it be the Unfuck America group or there are groups in opposition, but they're not who he was. And he pulled a massive fucking audience. And but it's all fueled in hatred, right? It's all fueled in diminishing people. And that's the next generation of conservative voters. So where's the opposition? You know what I mean?
I hope John doesn't mind here. I'm sure he won't, actually, knowing John. But I do want to ask, like, your thoughts on this red pill thing, because we talk about this all the time. This is like, and it's an important topic. Like, it's easy to, on the left, for people to just dismiss the problems that men specifically go through, and are young men, or tell them that, you know, other people have it worse or whatever, as if that solves their problems. It doesn't, or pretend their problems don't exist. And you mentioned how, Jesus Christ, my throat. You mentioned how the concept of a male loneliness epidemic is bullshit. I'd like to know what you think of it, because the way I see it as kind of like an everyone is lonely epidemic that we have as a society, for a lot of reasons beyond our control, become more and more insular. But women do seem to be better, or they're socialized to be better, to be closer to their friends and stuff like that. And I remember when I was in the Army, I would talk to guys 17, 18 years old, zero friends, none. And I couldn't believe it. And now I see it all the time and hearing it more and more. So I think it is like a broad-based thing that loneliness is everywhere, and men suffer it in a unique way. But also another thing John and I say is that the fact that people on the left have a hard time communicating these ideas to people who don't already believe what we believe. And, you know, 14-year-old boys are not great for their nuance generally. And yeah, so like how do you communicate this to these guys in a way that would be acceptable? Oh, and the red pill. That's sorry, I lost track there. The red pill. That the one of the most pernicious elements about the red pill is that about 30% of what they say is amazing advice that people just don't get, like, you know, the confidence aspect of it, and don't focus on trying to get a girlfriend. Focus on improving yourself and going out there. Stuff that you really don't hear in a lot of places. They'll say, "Oh, just be nice," and when being nice is not a way to get people to like you, that's a terrible idea. But yeah, I mean, so that's they speak to ways that guys understand, and it hooks them in pretty early and does a lot of damage in the future.
Yeah, the reason I say that I believe the male loneliness epidemic is bullshit is because it's a theory that's been created by men in a way to almost justify male bad behavior.
Yeah,
I mean, it's almost like, you know, we're lonely, and, you know, we're victims, and yet, you know, we're the ones, the collective, we're the ones that are threats. You know, I believe in the "it's all men until it's no men" theory. You know, we are threats to women. We are threats to marginalized communities. We are threats to the underserved. And I think it's a system. The patriarchy creates this theory of the male loneliness epidemic to excuse bad behavior. And then you sprinkle in the red pill. So and then the patriarchy grabs a hold of that early on, about the nuclear family, about women controlling women. It's dangerous. I mean, I could talk about this for fucking hours, which is why I'm doing a show on it tomorrow night. But I don't want to derail your topics here. But because it's all part of what we're discussing here, though. It's about the right wing influence and what they're using to influence the minds of young men. Whether it be red pilling, whether it be the Groyper community, whether it be online gaming communities, whether it be subreddits, these sort of subcultures are really poisoning the minds of young men. And young men in our society need help. I've been a large advocate for men seeking mental health, a large advocate for it. And I wish society, I think the only emotions that men societally are allowed to share publicly are like anger and lust. And I want to change that. I want to change that narrative going forward. That's my mission.
Steve, we got to bring you back for a film club. We also got to bring you back for one of
our
masculinity, full masculinity days, because you obviously have a lot to say there. I do want to tie it all the way through because we started this with the MAGA Civil War, and it is a very core part of that. And TJ said, yeah, it's very dangerous to have all these nihilistic young men. And, we can say all we want. Is there a male loneliness epidemic? Is it an everyone epidemic? I think the answer is it's an everyone epidemic, but males experience it in a particularly acute way because of how we are socialized. But males are also way more dangerous when they do get nihilistic and angry and disillusioned with the world. Historically speaking, bored boys between the ages of 16 and 22 are what most very, very bad violence has been brought on the backs of. And that is the group that typically can be manipulated to commit atrocities. Again, throughout history. And even, we're saying males versus women. Women actually attempt suicide more than men do overall, to a fairly significant degree. It's just that they do it usually in far less successful manners, whereas men grab a gun and blow their head off, which is the most highest fatality suicide method. And so even if it is a male loneliness epidemic that is just everyone epidemic, it's much more concerning when the males get lonely and bored and nihilistic, because much more violent shit happens as a result. Just unfortunately, historically looking at it, the person who was most on top of that, though, and I think is the reason for this entire schism that we're seeing, was Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk took that and harnessed it, and I'm not going to say positively, but at least not actively destructively, at least at this point. And he was really the person holding, he was huge with this demographic that we're talking about. He wasn't like a Nick Fuentes, who's really just Jokerified. He wasn't like I don't even know who else is really, he had that, and it is gone now. He also had Donald Trump. He was the young propaganda guy for the Trump administration, and he just isn't here anymore. And I think that what we're seeing is this power vacuum created by his untimely departure. And we will not say anything about Charlie Kirk for fear of getting banned again. Really, really such a shame that guy
terrible,
is not with us anymore. Terrible shame.
Certainly
would never say anything else.
Certainly not something that was a long time coming. We would never say something like that. But yeah, Charlie, I'll say this, that you mentioned, John, that Charlie Kirk was and it's funny because if you were to ask me about Charlie Kirk 3 years ago, I'd have made fun of him for how much of a failure he was. Because, he did his thing where he traveled around college campuses, the conservative things, like, oh, I'm a 30-year-old man, I'm going to go dunk on these 18 and 19-year-olds, like that means anything. But in the 2020 election, the youth vote for Republicans was minuscule. It was way worse than 2016. And so I said, look, his whole exercise is a failure, but God damn it, he went out on top. I can't take that from him, and I wish I could, but it is too bad. But thinking about what you said, John, that all these young men were big fans of Charlie Kirk, it's strange to think about, right? Think back to when you were 16 years old. Who did you want to be like? Did you want to be like an actor or an athlete or a politician, an artist or something? I certainly wouldn't have said one of my heroes is this fucking nerd who goes around saying that, it's important for you to get married as soon as possible and have kids and read your Bible. I was like, it's nerd shit. I can't believe these guys are winning. The one person I want to put a button on this with is a conservative media figure we have not talked about this entire time, Mr. Glenn Beck, who learned the hard way that when Trump, like everybody else, he said that Trump is a menace, he's going to destroy the Republican Party. They all said that back then, but he stuck with his guns for a couple of years. And then he put on the red MAGA hat and said, now I'm a Trump fan and everything. I just wanted to put this out here because, there's no else to shoehorn it. But had you seen, Steve, the Glenn Beck, George Washington clip?
I've not. I think I have, TJ. It's been. I know what you're talking to. I don't remember it specifically. It's been a while. But Glenn Beck's been in my head for, again, I'm just a couple years older than you guys, for a long time. So his arc has been very interesting to watch, I must say.
Yeah. So on his show, he had an AI George Washington that he interviewed, and there's a clip from it here. And he didn't have George Washington dressed in period gear or whatever. He wasn't wearing the tri-cornered hat and the blue uniform or whatever. He had him in a t-shirt, like showing off the guns and stuff. It's absurd, but
that's not what I was thinking of. Okay.
Okay, all right. Glad.
Here
we go. If you ever wanted to see an interview between fat ass Glenn Beck and the father of our country, you guys are in luck, because here we go. Let's see what he's got to say.
George, we have programmed a lot of information and given you a lot of information.
I also want to say, I didn't notice this, but very funny. He's on a first name basis with George fucking Y. Who does he think he is? Let's go.
George, we have programmed a lot of information and given you a lot of information on what's going on in today's America. Based on your writings, the writings of the rest of the founders, what is it that you feel is the biggest problem, or where we should start to fix things?
If I may speak plainly, my countrymen, the greatest danger to our republic lies not in foreign arms or political faction, but in the decay...
May I just interrupt you for a second? Could you just dumb it down just a little bit?
Okay. I do have 29 points, and they're all referenced to exactly what we said in the past.
For this, just speak in today's language.
Okay. I get it.
Jesus Christ.
Let me speak to Americans. If I'm honest, America's biggest problem isn't political or economic. It's all moral. You've drifted from the virtues that make liberty possible in the first place. Freedom. To be free, you have to have discipline. You have to have faith. You have to have character. And if you don't have any of those things, laws can't stop anything. They mean little. Government turns either weak or oppressive. You have grown skeptical of truth. You're reckless with debt. You're comfortable blaming instead of building anything. And in my time, we understood that self-governance begins with self-control. Do you even recognize what self-control is? Public virtue matters more than public opinion. You keep electing these people, expecting things to change, but you haven't changed. The fix is not going to be found in Washington, D.C. It's going to be found in every home, every school, every heart. You know, where are the citizens who value duty over comfort, principle over popularity? America was built to be a moral and self-governing nation. It's
all right. There we have it, folks. George Washington, first in war, first in peace, first AI president interviewed by Glenn Beck. What are your thoughts, Steve, since you ran across that for the first time?
I mean, that is full-on 1930s Germany propaganda, just packaged in more modern terms. Quite frankly, that's just. I mean, it's interesting that Glenn Beck would be part of that, because a lot of what George was saying, I don't think Glenn Beck would necessarily agree with. You know, so that's the weird flex there, because it is propaganda. Let's be real. Propaganda comes in positive forms and negative forms, but it is still propagandizing, trying to connect, you know, the birth of our nation with moral fracturing. That's kind of what I took from it. Like, we've lost our way morally. Yeah, we have. I agree. I just think it's interesting that Glenn Beck would be the person that did that. I would not have expected that from him. That's my biggest reaction.
John?
Glenn Beck is such a... He just kind of does his own thing now. He has his internal audience. He doesn't grow. He just is. Like, I'm not really concerned about anything Glenn Beck does, but I do think that little segment was a great little look into the eyes of a certain kind of, especially older conservative. I imagine Glenn Beck's audience is fairly old. For whatever reason, every like old conservative white guy is just fascinated by AI. Like, it's very weird to me how just captivated they are by this. But I imagine they fucking loved that. They love their like Americana, founding fathers and historical references and calls to integrity and moral virtue. Like that works for them. And it's very weird. I always love how every time they do this creed of, you gotta like be better internally, and it just they're telling people to take personal responsibility so they do not have to take any personal responsibility of their own. If they can say, oh, it's about American families and their hearts and souls and their virtue, that's the real problem. Well, bro, okay, what are you going to do about that? You're just pawning off the responsibility for fixing this country onto random individuals you have never met. That doesn't sound very personal responsibility to me, but it is the ethos of that generation that, oh, well, we just have to rely on everyone else to fix themselves. And as long as everyone does that, we'll be fine. And anything other than that is tampering on our freedoms. And it doesn't fucking work. And it was kind of right when he said the government's either going to be weak or oppressive when no one gives a shit. Like that part, George nailed that shit because that's the choice we have. That was the 2024 election. Weak or oppressive? Which one do you want?
I'm gonna go to comment here. Vinny says, "Go against God and find out." Vinny, yeah, if you want to go against me, sure, we'll see what happens. But all right, so with the George Washington thing, yeah, I wrote down a few notes here. Is first off, the familiar fucking tone he has with President Washington. He doesn't call him Mr. President; he calls him George, and interrupted him multiple times.
Yes.
I interrupted. You get the chance to sit down with George Washington and you just start punching in whenever you want to. And I do got to say, he did make a good point that, yeah, you may want to dial down the language. You're talking to conservatives here. These folks are pretty dumb. So you may want to, George Washington, I wrote in my time. I don't know why I wrote that, but the public virtue thing I wrote down too, that your personal virtue reflects your public virtue. And that it's hard to say that is something you agree with when you're a Donald Trump supporter. I don't know how anyone's gonna make any kind of family values, any type of civility or moral argument from the right in the future when Donald Trump is a mark on their record. And it did seem like just vague and platitudinous enough that I buy that it is kind of something George Washington would say. Because there's no George Washington. I don't know. I'm not shitting on. He did some. He was an effective general, but as far as politics go, yeah, he was your original centrist. George Washington. He famously left the White House saying that political parties are bad, and every hack idiot conservative that John is talking about, that loves the Revolutionary War, says, well, George Washington warned us about foreign entanglements and about establishing political parties, but everything he did was in line with what the Federalists wanted and not the anti-Federalists. So he was like, these people today, George Washington would be annoying today. That's what I'm trying to get to there. But I wanted to share that because Glenn Beck is just a funny guy. I like watching that. And the AI thing is correct, John. Like there is a certain type of person, the same people who are fascinated, who claim to be history buffs, but only care about the Civil War and World War II. Those guys are the same ones who love AI. And it actually goes pretty well into the next topic we have with the job shortage.
All right, we'll go to that first. It probably will be our last topic. I don't know if we'll get to Venezuela, but unfortunately, I imagine there will be plenty more opportunities to talk about in the near to medium to long-term future. So we will go to that next topic. Yes. So there was a report, and let me just pull up our fancy schmancy graphic here.
Boy.
That the labor shortage that we currently are experiencing in America, according to JP Morgan Chase analysts, is a national security threat. According to their new report, 40% of adults are lacking basic digital skills. Today's skill gap is a critical national security issue, and the public and private sectors need to come together to drive solutions forward, says Tim Berry, Global Head of Corporate Responsibility and Chairman of the Mid-Atlantic region at JP Morgan. The U.S. can allocate funds, but without sufficient talent, execution will fall short. And I found this to be a very interesting way of framing the current labor problems in America, because whenever we touch this particular third rail, it sends a lot of shockwaves in very different directions depending on where you are on the political spectrum. Now, me and TJ, and I imagine Steve too, typically if we're listening to a JP Morgan analyst talk about labor, we're going to say, fuck you, you're wrong. But this is one of those situations where I'm like, this guy's kind of right. This is right. We are very much lacking in a lot of key not just labor markets, but national security industries such as AI, such as STEM, such as all nursing and teaching, as much as people don't think of those as national security. Well, you'll fucking find out if we don't have enough teachers and nurses how important that is to just making ourselves have a functioning fucking country. I'm in agreement with JP Morgan Chase here. I don't know if I've ever said that on this show before, but the lack of, and again, we have jobs, we have, I mean, unemployment is rising, but like we have a workforce, but it's about to be decimated as AI becomes more and more and more prevalent. And there doesn't really seem to be any sort of off-ramp, any sort of solution to modernize our workforce in a way that is going to leave us prepared for what's to come in the next century or so. Steve, you are definitely at a different career point than I am. And coming from looking at my perspective, my generation, we just don't really believe that like owning a home is going to ever be in our future. Like it just isn't going to happen. Not all of us are lucky enough to be landlords like TJ.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow.
But like the future looks like I'm someone who's very fortunate. I was able to get a very good college education. I did not have to take on debt in order to do so. I have a very decently well-paying job, and even I'm like, oh shit, I'm not going to own a home until I'm in my late 30s probably, and I don't want to start a family until I own. And it creates all of these fucking obvious cascading issues, which must be, from my perspective, so much worse for people who aren't as fortunate as I am, and that's most people my age. And so from your perspective, as someone who's kind of, I imagine, in a much more secure place career-wise than people my age, what do you see this changing labor market as? What's your perspective on it?
So real quick. So I went out on my own. I started my own business about 5 years ago. So I'm an independent contractor. I do speech writing. I do media training and do a whole bunch of different things. So I left corporate America. I was the CMO for a Fortune 100 company. And one of the reasons I left was because of what we're talking about now. I live in Vermont. It's always been difficult to recruit up here just because of lack of affordable housing, lack of childcare, things along those lines. So it became very difficult to recruit talent. So we had to subcontract to fill high-tech positions, STEM positions, sophisticated positions. And we had to recruit. Oftentimes, we recruited from India and or East Asia. So to answer your question, it's not necessarily easier, or people in my generation aren't necessarily more established anymore, because a lot of people, so I'm Gen X, a lot of people have cashed in their retirement early or moving in with their kids now. So they call it like the shoulder generation, where you still have parents that are living and you've got kids. So those people that are in that gap there. I think this entire thing, guys, comes down to the fact that our country has just never made the commitment to education. As a progressive, I want to over fucking fund education. I want our teachers to be sought after from sea to shining sea. I want them to be paid the best. I want to have the best schools. I want to have the best arts and humanity programs. I want to develop a system where people, to your point, John, people truly respect and admire teachers. Can you tell I was raised by a teacher? So there's a special place in my heart for them in general. But I think that we're never going to compete. Just yesterday, the Trump administration offered NVIDIA chips to China. We had a competitive advantage built in with AI, and we just gave it away. We literally just gave it away. It's things like that we keep shooting ourselves in the foot, all because of greedy capitalists. So until our country makes a commitment to really, really invest in education, then we're going to have to recruit talent from offshore, because it's just not here. It's just not here. We're not developing the next generation of worker.
Oh boy, yeah, Steve. He said a lot of what I was going to say. I'm struggling right here. That was great. All right. I was looking like tech companies are having a hard time filling these roles, like system architects and AI experts and cybersecurity specialists and all. And my first thought when I saw this was maybe Trump was right when he was doing that interview with Laura Ingraham. And when he mentioned that he was bringing in a bunch of Chinese students, you guys remember that? And he said that we don't have any talent here. And so this is the clip for you guys, even though I know what I'm talking about.
H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration, because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we
a
have
country
plenty of talented people
no, you
here.
don't. No, you
You don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have. You don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
All right. So one thing that I like to say is the only way anything good can happen in this country, I'm convinced, is if Donald Trump stumbles onto the right answer. Because Donald Trump will say something and really, if Donald Trump came, does anyone believe that, the Republicans have been spinning their wheels with this healthcare thing for 15 years? If Trump came out tomorrow morning and said, we're doing universal healthcare, does anyone doubt the Republicans when the voters wouldn't just go along with, he could call it, Trump America Care or something like that. Exactly. Make a single payer universal system. They said, this is what the Democrats were trying to fight against. They never wanted, they'd be right there, but the left never wanted this. The left would never come up with something as genius as a single payer healthcare system. It's the only way anything good happens. Also, he says stuff that would tank any politician, not just Republicans, not just Democrats, but him saying, American workers are too dumb or too stupid or don't have enough talent to get the work done, so we need to import foreigners to do it for us. Over. But for Donald Trump, it's not. Like, they may get mad for a couple days, but they'll, go right along with it. And what you mentioned, Steve, is where the path I was going to go down here is that we were all talking about, we've been discussing that Democrats have been cratering with the, male under 25 vote or something like that. And that teenage boys are 5 times as conservative as teenage girls and way more conservative than any of their reflective cohorts in the past and everything. This is a golden fucking opportunity to try to capture the hearts and minds of young men. And you could do it by not sacrificing any of your principles, which is, important for us, in that make an all-out effort into investing into say, hey, there are all these jobs. Like we have a 40% shortage of workers in this field, male-dominated fields, like with cybersecurity and AI experts and architects, stuff like that. You come, like we can get this program for you. We will pay for you to go to school, and then you can go out and do something to help national security. Will save the nation here. Now, of course, we'll fund everything else too. Everyone else that wants universal health care, but focus on that. Put that front and center. Give them something that they believe will actually help them. And it seems like it's right there, but I'm afraid Trump will just do it, right? Because they would go for it if Trump says, we're going to put a bunch of government investing into, and I'd be good if we need it. But once again, it would be an example of us getting the right answer because Trump stumbles onto a right answer and the right wing has no actual principles.
See, I'm a policy guy. Good policy is good policy. I don't necessarily care where it comes from. Like I've said the same thing about healthcare, TJ. Like if you called it Trump Care or Trump's Medicare for all or whatever, I don't give a fuck. I want healthcare. Like I love that idea. I've talked about that as well, about making trade schools, for example, or state colleges, universities tuition free, and using the patriotic language. Like invest in your country, become a cybersecurity expert to help with national security. And this is how you do it. Like, I don't care who owns it. I don't care who authors it. I just want it.
Yeah.
I'll be greedy.
It is like, it's true. If a policy is good, it frustrates me that we can't get it unless an evil person does it. That's what, because this should have happened a long fucking time ago. But if insert any random Democrat would have suggested it, they would burn the nation down. Like we'd have 12 January 6s. They would just do it over. And that's what bothers me. And that I'm sorry, John, what were you gonna say?
No, finish your thought because I have a word to train.
It just bothers me that that's the path we go down, where we have to rely on evil people who are going to continue to do evil things, and they get to take credit for it, and that this would help the Republicans. And the thing you mentioned with the trade school thing, this is something because this is when I kind of came to this realization. It wasn't Trump, but it was Sanders, and when Bernie was rather famously proposing a universal college system where education for college. And I talked to so many conservatives. I had a lot more conservative friends back then, a lot fewer now. But they said, Sanders wants to give away all this free stuff. I'd asked them what they thought about universal college. They said, well, I think that these people are just majoring in underwater basket weaving and the physics of frisbees. Those aren't really important things. We shouldn't be funding that. We should really be sending kids to trade school. I said, oh, so if Sanders, made a proposal to fund trade school, would you support it then? Oh, yeah, I would. Well, good news. He is. The bill actually does fund trade schools as well. Guess what? They didn't change their mind. They didn't. There's no principles at all. They just like their hero. So that's what I was going with, John.
So it's very interesting because Steve, I completely agree with you that, and TJ, it should be easy to get people behind education as a motivating political goal. The problem is the people who vote and the people who are being educated are different people. And a lot of people don't give a shit about anything besides themselves. I mean, that sounds very
it's true. That's
negative,
true.
But yeah, no, it's true. And it's very hard to get people to say, hey, let's invest your money into other people's children. People fucking hate that. But that is the answer. That is the answer of how everything gets better is invest in education. Every dollar invested in education, it has an average return on investment of $7 fucking. It is dumb to not just pour as much fucking money as we possibly can into our education system in America, and we don't do it. And it's creating this very interesting schism that has always existed within the Republican Party, but is very much rearing its head with Donald Trump. Because for a long time, the Republican Party was the party of JP Morgan Chase. It was the party of the rich elite. And JP Morgan Chase, they're right. Every time you look at this immigration debate, the rich, moneyed people are the ones saying, hey, guys, we kind of need immigrants. We've been saying this for a while. The American workforce is not cut out for what we need them to do. We need more labor to exploit. Bring it here. And then you talk to the MAGA pilled people, and they're like, oh, well, fuck, you just, because I'm an open borders guy. I don't know about you, Steve, but whenever I talk about open borders, people are like, oh, you're just a corporate shill. You want to import all of this cheap labor. And it's like, well, that's not how any of this fucking works. But it is kind of like an interesting conflict because the money and powers that be are saying, hey, more immigration, more H-1Bs. But the populists are winning this fight. Trump is making concessions to the JP Morgan Chases of the world, but the Republican Party is now dominated by the lower educated, mostly white male, middle school maturity mindset. And they don't like immigration. They don't like investing in education. They're anti-intellectual. They're anti-immigrant. Because they're fucking fascist at their fucking core. And I don't know how this ends for the billionaires, but the Elon Musk, the Zuckerbergs, the JP Morgan Chase of the world, they're actually now disaligned with the Republican Party. And it creates a very interesting dynamic here where we have this debate constantly now on the right between should we accept the H-1Bs or should we not? And I don't know if you've ever seen the debates on the right about this, but it is one of the most fucking heated subjects.
It is. Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, what could be more patriotic than wanting to invest in education? Again, I'm always about, I got a marketing and PR background. Use the Make America Great mindset and say, we're going to make America have the greatest schools, the greatest healthcare system, the greatest infrastructure, the greatest access to capital, the greatest, social safety net. It's the message has not been there. I mean, we're never, I'm glad you guys agree. We're never going to solve the systemic problems of growth and labor shortages and structural instability unless we invest in education. That has to happen. There's no shortcut. I mean, I'm a full believer in free state colleges. Well, I should say that now as I have a daughter who's waiting to be accepted to colleges, and I've got 2 kids that are in college. So I'm in it. I'd love free college. Believe me, sign me the fuck up for that. But I mean, I'm also a pragmatist. There are reasonable things that we can do, and I just don't understand why conservatives can't get behind that. I think we know from a messaging, to your point, it's easy to manipulate a less than educated electorate. It's much easier. So if you again, we see it all the time, the fake news argument, the confirmation bias. Education teaches critical thinking, and they don't want to have critical thinkers in their electorate, quite frankly.
Well, yeah. Steve, you were saying that you can't understand why conservatives won't like refuse to have this aversion to investing in education. I think it's pretty simple. It's because school is gay. That's what, you ask your average conservative. That's what they think. They're like, oh, well, why would I do something like that? This is it's that. Right, I know. It's like
I just TJ. I just love this. Like Steve's like, yeah, no, like I'm a career marketer. Like I understand this. I understand human psychology. And TJ's like, but have you considered that school is gay?
It's gay.
You know who wins that argument? School is gay.
School is gay.
Wins every
It
time.
wins. This is. I mean, this is like. Listen, I have had to come to uncomfortable conclusions about humanity over the last like couple of years that I know academically that we are a reasonably intelligent mammalian species capable of amazing things, but my God, like our highs are high, but our lows are subterranean. I want to comment that got a great comment here from Conservatory of the Ozarks. I didn't catch it for a while, but she wrote male-dominated fields, like working at the post office. It took me longer than I'm comfortable admitting to get that joke, but that was great. That was fantastic. That was it's almost as funny as the jokes that I make. But yeah, so yeah, this is just it's an easy. I mean, it's not an easy. It's a simple solution. The solution is simple, but oh yeah, John, you're saying the
solution. I think maybe not.
Yes,
obvious, right?
Yeah, and there's the problems that we run into are just I can't believe we're running into this. We make fun of conservatives all the time for being, dumb, for being morons, for being stupid and everything, and they get offended. They saying that we're arrogant. It's like, well, yeah, we are. We're smarter than you. Of course, we're arrogant. But then I challenge anyone, any conservative out there who hears me and thinks I'm being unfair by saying you guys are dumb. A movie came out like 20 years ago called Idiocracy, and it's simple. It's lazy to compare, the world to Idiocracy. Now, watch that fucking movie and listen to the people talk, and tell me that's not exactly how your average conservative sounds when they're discussing policy. This is gay. This is retarded. You're fucking stupid. It's exactly like they sound. So I'm sorry that you guys, comport yourselves like morons and I call it out, but you're holding the rest of us back and it's not necessary.
No notes.
Yes. Oh, Christ. Yeah.
And remember, school is gay. That's
school is gay. School is gay. I agree. That is something though. I about school. People love learning, but they hate school. That's one thing that I've said a lot. That there are parts of school people do like, but that's another conversation. I guess we have another time. We're at the end of the show now.
All right, I think we can wrap it up there. So, thank you for watching to the end of this very special episode of The Left Wing. If you have not liked and subscribed yet, well, go ahead and do that. Until you do that, you cannot be our favorite viewer. If you enjoyed our wonderful guest today, we have new guest Steve from Facts Still Matter. Steve, can you tell people where they can find you?
Sure, can find me on YouTube under the same handle, also on Twitch, also on Substack, and also on TikTok. I stream live daily, Monday through Friday, 8 till noon Eastern time. And also we have special editions on topics on, we call it Facts After Dark, Friday nights at 7 o'clock Eastern time. It's been a pleasure, guys. I really appreciate you letting me do this.
Thanks so much, Steve. We appreciate you coming on the show. It's been a good time. Today's episode has been brought to you by Wolfie, who just walked into the room. He's got a nice little bow tie on right now. He's happy to see you all. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys.